So, good morning, good afternoon, good night, depending on what part of the world you are joining us from. I'm Alex Faust, your host of Conversations at the Edge, and very excited to be joined for the first time today by John Didulius. And if you're not familiar with John and his work, he is redefining customer service today. He didn't just read the books on it, he actually wrote the books on customer service, and organizations across the US use his philosophies and systems for creating world-class service. And he's worked with companies such as the Ritz-Carlton, Lexus, Starbucks, Nordstrom, Nestle, and many, many more to help them continue to raise the bar and set the standard in service that consistently exceeds their customers' expectations. He's built 3 successful businesses, and in today's conversation and in his course, John will demonstrate how you can make customer service your single biggest competitive advantage and become the brand customers cannot live without and make price irrelevant. So, John, welcome to Conversations at the Edge. Typically, I would ask, how are you? But I know that's not the best question from your teachings. So I'd like to instead start with, tell me something good, John.
Everything's great. Spring is finally here in Cleveland, Ohio. It's been consistent for the past 7 days, which is remarkable. Life is good. Everything is great. I like those glasses.
Thank you very much, Warby Parker.
I just went yesterday and ordered a similar pair. That's what was making me think about it.
That's awesome. Well, it's great to have you here. And for the folks who are here live, if you have questions, as always, the last 10 minutes are for you. So feel free to put them into the chat and I'll be sure to ask those towards the end. But we're all here to learn from you today, John, about the relationship economy, about customer service. So can we begin by just going through what is the relationship economy and how do you define that?
Yeah, the relationship economy is where the primary currency is the emotional connections made with others, right? Customers, employees, vendors that result in your organization becoming the brand people can't live without. I don't want to say customers can't live without because, it's about the great retention today. And we want to retain, clients as well as we want to retain team members. So, the pendulum has swung so far over to high tech, no touch, that we're all starving to be recognized, and the human interaction has become, a very valuable thing that are just genetically we need.
Have you seen a shift in, interaction now that people are finally getting back to being in person, or are we, still over leveraging technology as people are just kind of happy being from home and maybe not being together in person anymore?
So it's kind of yes to both of those. With the Great Resignation, companies have to invest more in artificial intelligence to take up a lot of jobs that they just can't fill. But on the flip side, being bottled up for the past 2 years, you're seeing the pent up demand. People are out, they're going to concerts, they're going to, sporting events, they're going dining and all that pent up demand. People are loving to be, seeing people again, but it's hard to find the happy medium because there is more experiences being built that really don't have human connection, or in some cases, companies penalize you if you want to speak to it. So Spirit Airlines is guilty of this. If you want to interact with the gate, not the gate agent, but the person at the ticket counter, you have to pay an additional fee. There is a company in Canada. It's kind of like the Verizon wireless, Fido, I think it is, and they. If you, let me make sure I'm quoting it right. Yeah, Fido, they charge a $10 fee if you want to speak to someone on their team. And think about that. There's generations that are not savvy. They're trying to force you to all the self-service kiosks on the website, all that. But you might not understand something that's on your billing, or you need support, whether you're in a generation that isn't tech savvy, or you or I that just, needs to speak to someone. So technology is not the enemy, but eliminating it, using it primarily, as your only way of communication. There's a lot of websites, Uber and all them, that you cannot find a phone number to call.
Yeah, I think that's probably my biggest pet peeve as a consumer, when I can't speak to somebody. That, and then having to go through like 9 different people before talking to the person I actually is going to help me out.
Frustrating. It's frustrating.
Credit card companies are the worst at that.
You have to re-explain yourself, and that's
Yeah.
the difference between. So there's, I'm sure cold transfer versus a warm transfer, and then there's a term called hot transfer, and American Express is well known for this. So you may get me, the first person you get at American Express, and I can't help you, right? Whether you hit the wrong, number or whatever, but I'm not, I don't have. But hold on, I'm going to transfer you. And then the hot transfer is, I stay on the line. I explain to my, American Express counterpart your situation, so you don't have to. They help you. When they're done, I'm still online saying, Alex, is there anything else I can help you with? I mean, that's cool. Yeah. And that's why American Express is one of the highest NPS, companies in the world.
Yeah. So what are you seeing as the biggest differentiators in customer service and experience that are making some companies really thrive in this environment and others struggle not only to retain customers, but retain their employees as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, listen, leaders are getting younger. Over 40% of employees now work for a leader that's younger than them. And that's because of our reliance on, the digital revolution. But the problem with that is that younger, no fault to their own, don't have the inherent people skills that the previous generations took decades to create. And you can't microwave that, right? So the EQ and all those things are so vital to brand loyalty. And brand loyalty obviously takes care of the employees. You got to get to know your employees. The Great Resignation, did wake us up as leaders and realize that there's human beings, and they're obviously going through a lot pre-pandemic, and then coming out of the pandemic. So we have to build relationships. We have to know our people. We have to care for them. We have to train and educate the whole person, and not just how productive and efficient can I make Alex for me and the company so we can be the most profitable. But people care about and have mental wellness is huge today, and that is falling on companies like never before. There's a lot of new things that leaders never had to worry about before. Leading from a distance is a whole new skill set, and worrying about people's well-being and giving them resources on how they can be healthier, where to go when they're struggling. And then there's a whole nother gamut of, there's people that aren't struggling from it, but someone in their family is. And so, helping them with those things, helping them with I call it the 4 F's, finance, fitness, I'm missing one,
Family.
Family, thank you. And then faith. And faith could just be in that the positivity that the world's not ending. It could be spiritual, it could be whatever. And so I think employers need to offer those as resources. Doesn't mean you have to have someone hired, but bringing in people, having Zoom calls if anybody's interested in buying their first home, whatever that may mean. That is what people really care about, that their employer and their leader cares about them more than just, a money-making, employee.
That's great. Thank you. So you talk about in your course that there are three strategies to develop relationships with customers, clients, employees. Can you share what those three strategies are?
Yeah, the first one, if you want to dominate the relationship economy, is use technology to perform basic tasks. That's great, which frees up your employees to focus on what's most important, right? Building those relationships that result in higher customer loyalty, retention, lifetime value, and job satisfaction, right? If the employee's part of the experience, and they're able to build relationships, they go home feeling better about their job. The second thing is building a culture that creates emotional connections with each other, and which is much harder today with work from home that we can certainly visit. And then the last thing is create relationship building training for new and existing employees, because I don't care what generation you're in, the older generations, we're losing our people skills. We have a decline in people skills because we've all been sucked in, even pre-pandemic. We've all been sucked into technology, and we have 1/20th of the human interactions we used to have, and then you have 30 and under, at no fault of their own, are relationship disadvantaged. They've only grown up in the touch screen age. So we got to make sure it's not being taught at home. It's not being taught at school. The best businesses are making relationship building part of their orientation and ongoing.
What does that look like, the relationship type training?
There's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that people take for granted, but the art of building relationships, we talk about, there's 5 key things. Authenticity, must be authentic, must have insatiable curiosity, must have incredible empathy, must love people, and must be a great listener. And we can go down any of those paths. But I will tell you, authenticity, curiosity, empathy, love, and great listening, of those 5, I know for a fact from my own personal life and having hundreds of employees in my career, 4 of them can be taught. 4 of them absolutely can be taught. It's great if you find people that already have some of those. It's frosting on the cake. One of them can't be taught. All the training in the world cannot change someone, and that's must love people. And so our interview process has to filter that for the positions that require that. Now, it doesn't mean they can't be productive in some part of your organization, but if they're going to be customer or team member facing, you have to make sure you're finding people that really, get a charge out of other people. And we all know people that just want nothing to do with, other human beings, and that's fine, right? I'm not judging them, but we can't have them, and all the training in the world is not going to move that needle.
So of the 5, is the must love people, is that more important than the others, or is there not really an order to those 5 aspects?
I don't know if there's a hierarchy. The only thing about must love people is that, like I said, you have to filter that in your interview process if you're interviewing. But I mean, they're all. I mean, everything is authenticity. Everyone is a BS detector today, and they know if you're coming with a hidden agenda and you're trying to sell me something, and you don't even know if that's what's in the best interest of my business. You didn't even ask the right questions to even know if I need that, but you're trying to sell me on that, or whatever it is. Or you asked me what I did this past weekend, only because you wanted to tell me what you did this past weekend, right? You didn't hear what I said, right? So all of those things counteract. I mean, I have, favorites, and insatiable curiosity is one of my favorites. And one of my least favorites was must be a great listener. And the only reason why is when I went through the research, I thought I was a decent listener, but man, it was painful. I just realized how far I am and how much work I have to do to be a better listener. So, like I said, we can go into any of them if you want to, but yeah, they're all vital, and they're not taught today.
Yeah, I would like to dive into those a little bit. I know in Insatiable Curiosity, you have the Ford method that you use both at home and then in the workplace. So maybe we can start there and talk about what that is.
Yeah, I mean, having insatiable curiosity is dying to learn about others. Not only subjects that interest you, but subjects that are unfamiliar to you. You got to become like an investigative reporter. So I did a TED talk called "Meet as Strangers, Leave as Friends," and I just really talk about there's no greater skill any of us could work at that will have a bigger impact in our personal and professional lives, and the ability to build an instant rapport with others, and be it a stranger, acquaintance, coworker, customer, whatever. And so I love to ask people, who's really good at building an instant rapport with someone that you haven't seen in a while or have never met before? And everyone raises their hand, and I call bullshit. And I say, just because we bumped into each other at Starbucks this morning, or we were at a cocktail party last night and we spoke for 45 minutes, whatever it is, doesn't mean I built a relationship with you, because I could have been talking about myself that entire time. And we're all genetically coded to be preoccupied with what's going on in our lives. And that's an urge that we have to fight. So you might say, "Hey, John, what's up? How you doing?" I'm like, "Oh my God, you wouldn't believe, my flight was canceled. My son got in trouble. My number one salesperson is, blah, 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 blah." So I always say, here's how you prove to yourself. Here's how my employees prove to me. Here's how my 3 sons prove to me that they built a relationship. In any 3-minute or 30-minute conversation, you have to focus on the other person's Ford. And if you learn 1 or 2 or more of those of the Ford, you not only built a relationship, you own the relationship. Because to each and every one of us, our own Ford is what we geek out about, right? There's certain things out you don't want to ask me about. You'll regret asking me, because I'm going to, and this is one of them, right? So Ford, family, right? The F stands for family. Are they married? Do they have kids? How old are their kids? What activities are their kids into? Oh, occupation. What do they do? How long they've been doing it? How did they get into that? What's their title? Who do they work for? R is a lot of people's hottest ones. It's recreation, right? What people do with their evenings, free times, weekends is where their passion a lot of time really lies, right? And then D is dreams, right? What's their dream? What's their encore career that they're working towards? Their bucket list, all those things. And there's a way to bring this up casually. And, it's not like a Ford checklist where I'm like, "Alex, are you married? Do you have kids?" It can be organically brought up in conversations, and even in, clients and people overshare. Someone might be calling to book an appointment today, and they say, "Hey, can I get in?" And you say, "Well, we're available Wednesday at 3:00. And they might say, "No, my daughter's soccer team has made it to districts. I can't do Wednesday," right? They're throwing Ford at you. And most people might duck and bob and weave away from that and say, "All right, how about Thursday?" Versus capturing that. When she comes in on Thursday or Friday, we ask her, "Hey, how did your daughter do?" And they have no idea how you know. Right? So, or dog barking in the background, or a kid crying in the background, or what their uniform is, or anything like that.
So do you have, when you're working with clients or new prospects, do you have like goals around capturing that information? Because I could see, naturally someone says, "I have my kid's soccer game at 3:00. That's a really nice way. But how do you do it when maybe they're not feeding it to you without having it off-putting or seem, inauthentic?
Yeah. So it all depends on the type of business. Every company we've ever worked with that has a CRM system, whether it's Salesforce or whatever it might be their industry CRM system, they've been able to customize a Ford field right? And a lot of times, if you're a B2B, you get that. I know, Alex is from Chicago, Illinois. That's Ford, right? Hey, how is spring in Chicago? Like, that impresses a client. If that person is from that, or their last order, or anything like that. So anyone that can go into that. I have Ford. A lot of our clients have Ford documents right here to scribble. Even though we have it in our database, I have found out the hard way that if I'm updating it in like Salesforce while we're talking, that means I'm about 5 to 7 seconds behind. And 5 to 7 seconds is a lot, meaning I've totally done this. I might, you might be telling me that you're going to, you went to the Bahamas last week. And so I'm typing it in, and then I'm on, got any plans this weekend? And you might say, yeah, my wife's aunt died and we have to go to the funeral. And I'm like, oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. Good for you, right? Because I'm still typing in. So you don't want to go there. So you write little notes and then you update it later. But then you track it. You can't get it all the time. Not every interaction allows for it, but you can run reports appointments today, people you had calls with, Zooms with, who, did you update the Ford fields? And then you have contests. And just to make it a habit, Alex, he had 20, appointments this month, and 18 of them he updated to Ford Fields, right? He wins the new iPad or but it gets everyone focused and doing it.
That's great. And just a reminder for the folks who are here live, if you have questions, feel free to type them in now. We did get one question here. Fear of interacting with others seems to be one of the challenges, and how to overcome or change that mindset. How would you address that with an employee?
So fear of interacting with others. That's a hard. Now, it all depends on if they have the fear but want to overcome it. If they don't, if that just goes back, then they shouldn't be in a customer facing role. And customer facing is customer interacting, meaning on the phones, email, or literally customer facing. But if they want to, then it's just, teaching them about how to be curious and how to learn about other people. Going back to my, early days, I did so many things wrong, and maybe a lot of people do, but 30 years ago, I only wanted to talk about what I liked. And if you didn't like the two topics I liked, I wanted nothing to do with you, right? Like if I had to go out to dinner with you, as couples, I'd be angry. I'm like, no, he doesn't talk baseball and he doesn't talk customer service, right? And like, how ignorant is that, right? And you don't learn anything new when you only talk about your topics. Now I love to find out obscure things. Oh, you like fly fishing? I've never done that. I never thought to do it, but I'll drill you about fly fishing. And in the end, you're going to love me because I talked about what you wanted to talk about. I actually learned something. I may not go out and fly fish tomorrow, but the strangest thing is it always comes back in the strangest way. Like in 3 weeks later, I could be in a CEO's office, a client, and he has pictures of fly fishing. And because we had that conversation a couple of weeks ago, I could say something intelligent that gets him talking and benefits me, right? And that's not why you do things, but it's just, the insatiable curiosity and, and being a great conversationalist is about listening. So fear of interacting, you actually don't have to do a lot of talking. You get them to talk about it.
That's great. So we have another question here asking, what are your favorite or best tools for strengthening relationships post face-to-face, the ongoing relationships? Is it via phone, email, books, letters, etc., all the above?
Yeah. So I'm not one of those, I am old, but I'm not one of those old fuddy-duddies that is like, you got to write a card, right? And, they're all like, right, we don't write cards. I don't care how you contact someone. I don't care how you contact me. You can text me, right? You can send me a telegram. I think just the point of reaching out to people is important. So a couple of things. First, we've been on Zoom for the past 5 or 6 years. And long before the pandemic, we weren't allowed to have a conference call via phone. It had to be face to face, because via phone, I'm talking to Alex, it's a voice. There's no connection there. I may like his voice, I may not like his voice. But when you see someone and you see his cool glasses and he laughs at my silly jokes, and a lot of times you'll get Ford just from what's behind him, right? It could be his diploma, it could be his last vacation. And the other good thing about this, Alex, is if it's confession. If I'm on a phone call with you, a headset, and not seeing you, I'm not on stage. I'll start multitasking, right? My son will be texting me something, and I'm like, no, I said no. And again, I'm not paying attention. I'm not engaged. But other really good things is the 3-2-1 system, and you pick, same time every week, 8:30 Wednesday mornings. It takes less than 10 minutes. You send out 3 emails, 2 texts, and maybe make 1 phone call. And I don't care if it's email, text, whatever, cards. And they are to people that and maybe clients or past clients that you're not currently engaged with right now. And all it is, and it's a non-solicitation. Hey, Alex, saw that your alumni won a big game this past weekend. I know you got to be pumped. Hope your spring is off to a great start. And just want to let you know, you're one of the reasons why I love what I do. Like, that's it. A non-soliciting, thing. Or, hey, Alex, I read a great article. I think you'd really enjoy it. Blah, blah, blah. It might be because you're running a marathon, or it might be because it applies to the business you're in. But you're just non-soliciting, keeping yourself, in front of people. And then one other relationship hack that I've learned, and we all know about it, is, but I read it in a book, Adrian Bankert's book, Kindness is Your Superpower, but it's video texting, right? And she says, video texting, think before you text. And she says it, and it's so true. If I'm sending you a text, so I sent 4 video texts this morning. I had 2 employees, they had an anniversary. Like one had 25th anniversary, and then 2 got promoted. So usually I would say, hey, Alex, congratulations on your 25th, blah, 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 blah. Since I've read this about 2 years ago, I turn everything into a video text. And like she said, it surprises and delights them. It takes less time because of, the autocorrect and the typing. I just say, hey, Alex, congratulations, 25 years. I can't believe that you were a little kid when you started. Thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. Say, and you'd think I sent them $1,000. Like, oh my God, I showed this to my husband. I showed this to, everyone at work. So relationship hacks, sending quick, I try to think before I text, even with my family, right? Could this be a quick video text? Hey, thanks for taking out the rubbish, whatever that may look like.
That's great. Thank you for that. So there's only about 1 minute left. So I just want to give you an opportunity, any last, pieces of advice or things that our community should walk away with, knowing about relationship building and customer experience.
My favorite thing is, 2 things. One, and this, I believe everyone in the world will say this, whether you're on your deathbed, 95 or 25. We are where we're at today because of the relationships we've had. And that could be a bad thing, right? We don't like where we're at today because of the relationships or lack of relationships we've built. But another thing is, I think it's really important what goes through our mind the first thing that gets up in the morning. Oh God, I don't want to get up, or oh God, I don't want to go to work, or whatever. My back is hurting. So I have something that pops up on my phone every morning at 6 a.m. So it is the first thing I see. And it says, act as if today is the day you'll be remembered for how you treat others, right? And that's really important to me. Act as if today's the day you'll be remembered for how you treat others. And so, like, that's the first thought, from my family to, driving to work or the airport to whoever I'm coming in contact with.
Fantastic. Well, John, it's been a real pleasure hosting you today. It's been wonderful to learn from you, and to the community, thank you for being here. If you haven't seen John's course, please log into the Edge and watch it. It's fantastic. I'm very excited to be implementing some of the Ford stuff that I learned through the program. So thank you for being here, and we look forward to having you again soon.
My pleasure, Alex. Thanks for having me.
Take care, everyone.